So if you're just in the previous chapter, you'll know this sequence. We've been in the sequence before, but I want to use this sequence because actually I don't have anything else to show it to give you an example of this effect. And I'm actually going to be using the clips out of here. The thing is, we're going to have to do something with these clips first, because this was the first time I'd played with the SlidePod, which is a motorized slider, and I was able to create this effect.
For the video is this, the Triflex from Cobra Tech. We're also going to be looking at the magic arm that they've bundled here with it. Links in the...
Now, that was multiple takes with the slider going exactly the same time and then kind of just sequencing them, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up. However, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to create some stills. And that's just purely so we can make what I want to make here. But I think showing you me doing this as well is gonna help as well, because it just, I don't know, it kind of sorts out, well, it kind of reaffirms what we've done in the past. Now I want this here because that's in the center, maybe a little bit further actually, maybe actually even a little bit further, about there. And obviously I've disabled all the clips above. If I press 0 on my number pad again, okay, I might have to reposition these a little bit, but that's fine. Let me just turn it off. Yeah, okay, maybe not. We'll work with it with this. So the thing is, I need to get a load of stills from this. So I'm actually going to mark this first one. I could export some frames, but for ease, I'm just going to do it this way. So I've marked that first one there. I'm just going to copy that. I'm just going to go to the end here. Remember, this is where we were doing all the J cuts and stuff. And I'm just going to press enter there. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to insert a frame hold on all of these, which is going to give me a section which is just static video. Remember, we've done this before. Right click, insert frame hold segment. Well, rather than just one, we're going to do it on all of them, which if I do it right, we can't multiple. You used to be able to multiple. Okay. So let's just do it this way then. So select the first one, insert frame hold segment. Good. Let me move that over there, and delete that. Come back, and I'm going to get rid of that top one. I'm going to insert frame hold segment. Do you know what? Actually, I'm not going to do it this way. If you wanted to just do one, that's cracking. But if you want to do more, then let's not do it that way. Let's export the frame. So you've got the icon there, which you can do it. I've also set it to C, and I'm going to import into project here. And I'm just going to set this as, we're going to go 4, 3, 2, 1. Nope, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm just going to set 5. Obviously you can select where you want to put it. I'm just going to press OK. It should put it here as well. Good. There's 5. I'm then going to hide that. I'm going to press C on my keyboard again. Type 4. OK. That's going in there. I'm just going to continue. Hide that one. Press C for 3. Enter. Press 0 to get rid of it. I'm going to C again. We're nearly there. 2. And hide that one, and C 1. Because although these are all now images, what you can imagine is if you've, I'm just going to drag these onto the timeline now. What you can imagine is if you've got all of these, if you've got like static video and you bring in a thing, bring in a product, give it a second, a bit of video, and then you change it, give it a second. That's kind of what we're emulating here with these screenshots, or these exported frames. I'm just going to reorder these for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring 1 there, bring 3 there, and bring 2 there. Okay, cool. So now I'm just going to ripple delete, close them all up, and let's just see if they're long enough. Yeah, that kind of works for me for this effect. And what we're going to do, actually, I'm going to make them a little bit longer. Yeah, I'm going to make that a little bit longer. Now, I could do that individually, dragging them all out. However, how long are they? 12, 26, Okay, so they're only about a second. So let's just delete all those. I've got them highlighted here. I'm actually just going to go in name order. So we've got them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to select 1, hold down Shift, select 5. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go modify. No, I'm not. Speed duration. And I'm going to say instead of 1 second, I'm going to set it to 3 seconds. Boom, done. And now if I grab them and pull them out, see how much bigger they are. I know we've done that in an earlier section, but it's a really easy way just to retime images or graphic elements in here. So as we scrub through now, if we play it through, good. It might be a little bit too long, but it's fine. We'll do it for this effect. Okay, so now what do we want to do? Well, first and foremost, I don't want them to be clipping all the way through. I want them to maybe crossfade. So that's easy. What I want to do is I want to get a grow all the way through as if it's kind of magic. But we can't just select one and then start to keyframe that, because if you want one constant grow, you'd be working out numbers and you'd never get it right. You'd probably spend hours trying to get it right, or some kind of maths equation, and we don't need to do that. It's really quite simple. You hold down Control on your keyboard. Once it's auto-saved, hold down Control on your keyboard, and we're just going to draw a marquee so we're highlighting all of the clips or the differences between the clips right in the middle here. Okay, that's all we want to do. We don't want to touch the ends. Okay, bear that in mind. And now we're going to go Shift and D, and that's created a crossfade across all of them. Why is it a crossfade? Just to recap, if we go down to Effects and we go to Video Transitions and Dissolve, Shift D will apply a cross dissolve because our default, Shift D, is our default transition, and this has the blue box around it. If you wanted to have a different transition as your default transition, don't forget you could just right click, say you want to dip to white, and that would be selected as your default transition. I'll change that back now just before I forget. Good. So now we have this. So we've got the box, and then we've got the box, second box next to it, and then we've got this, and then we've got this, and then finally we have this. Now that's good. It works. However, we want to put some movement on this. And the way we do that, and to keep that movement running all the way through these transitions, is that we select all the clips and we nest them. Now you can right click and click next, or if you followed along and done my my shortcuts, it's just N on the keyboard, and I'm just gonna you can relabel this. I'm not going to rename it. I'm going to press OK. Now the reason why we didn't put the fade at the beginning and at the end is because if we had done, we wouldn't have been able to see it on the nested clip. We don't need to see it in the middle of the clip, obviously, because they're all just running. But what we can do is we can do the exact same thing, just Control and drag over these and just hit Shift and D on the keyboard, and that gives us our fade in and fade out of the whole sequence. So with that done, we now have this, and it's just like what we saw before. So what do we do now? Well, we want to kind of give it some kind of movement. And we could zoom in or we could zoom out. And the way I want to treat this is I want to zoom out, because right at the beginning we have very little. We have a box, and at the end we have the kind of the finished whole setup. So the way in which we're going to do this is we're going to set a scale keyframe and set a position keyframe. Now we may not need the position keyframe, but we're just going to set it anyway, because this is how we want to be at the end. And I'm going to select these two keyframes by dragging a little box around it. I'm just going to move them right to the end. Okay. Now we can do the first keyframe and drag it over right here. But what I want to do is I want to get right to the beginning, because this is the first frame that we're going to see. And I'm going to affect this. I'm just going to twirl down. You know me, I much prefer sliders. So I'm just going to twirl these down, and I'm going to zoom in. And actually, yeah, we do need that position keyframe because I want it correct top and bottom. So we're just going to drag this down just a little. That's that. And I'm going to grab these two keyframes and bring them out. And now if we play that back, we now have movement going all the way through. It's only slight, but this continuous camera movement can really sell the whole effect. You see how it's just moving. I love this effect. And while that looks quite subtle on here, depending on what footage you're using and how many clips you've got, it can really just, I don't know, it just really helps sell it rather than just having them side by side, because obviously nothing has changed in here in the nest. There's no movement or anything, but rather than just having them side by side and fade and crossfade into this and then crossfade into that and crossfade into this, I just think giving it that little bit of movement, it just adds. It's the little bit of a, you know, a little bit of a seasoning on the top, a little bit of salt, pepper, maybe a little bit of paprika. I do like my food, but yeah, that for me is just a great touch and a great addition to what you're doing. I call it the constant zoom effect.